And now, coming to you live from the refurbished broom closet on level 8 of Gamma Station, it's the Gamma Brawl Podcast. The galaxy's most trusted news source. With your hosts, EeZeE and Dasein was here.
Welcome to episode number 8 of Gamma Brawl. I have Dasein was here, right here.
And I have EeZeE right here.
I
mean, what do you expect? This is the Gamma Brawl, EeZeE.
Would have been kind of weird if I wasn't here and did actually introduce you. Anywho, what have you got for us this week, Dace?
For those of you who play Overseer, I want to tell you, now, stop playing. You may think it's just me saying that, but if you look at this chart that we have here that EeZeE found on Discord, this is the win rate chart. Overseer, 32.16. So
yeah, of course, not doing very well in either of the other brackets. Bracket 2 is alright though, but yeah, it's not 44.9 on bracket 3. This chart has, by the way, been brought to us by Snedge. Thank you, Snedge. We would like to see more because we love numbers.
yes, and just looking at some of these, like the Paragon, it actually does good in bracket 2, but man, just don't bring it into bracket 3.
So, still, what we want to see, what we would like to see, if you're looking at balance, anything close to 50. So I wouldn't say don't bring it to bracket 3, because apparently it's still scoring above 50%. But bracket 4,
look at the
big
disruptor. Look at where the disruptor is. That there's a correlation right there. I mean, you got the disruptor and the Paragon hard counters it. So that's one of the stats that really baffled us, was actually the disruptor is the strongest healer currently in the game.
By quite a bit.
It's kind of confusing because you sit there and you go, disruptor. I mean, the drones are so easily counterable by Colossus Flak, and the Colossus is definitely looking really strong across its rate. But then you also have the fact that you can PDS it, a lot of ships have fighters. So there's a lot of, it's very counterable. So that may explain the Paragon there, but I have to say, that's kind of a surprise, the Disruptor.
Yeah, this is only just win rates though. This doesn't actually tell us anything about the number of matches involving this ship. So for all we know, there might only have been 12 matches in a Disruptor on bracket 4. Or something like that.
So yes, that's actually a very good point. And two, also, what counts as bracket 4? Is it a bracket 4 player, or is it matches that a bracket 4 player is in?
That's a good one.
Because that could also be skewing some of these too, because, oh, you have X ship, but there's only one bracket 4 player on each team.
Yeah, that's certainly that as well.
That could skew that. But the thing, if you really look at this chart, that you notice is looking at the win rates, it's really the Gamma-centric ships. You have your Brawler, you have your Centurion, your Colossus, your Displacer. Admittedly, Displacer's always been good, especially with the Displace marker always going through. The Gladiator, being as it's good at Gamma, is actually there, even though you would think, being as it's so easily bypassable in lanes. But then again, I don't see the Gladiator that much. The thing that surprised me is the Infiltrator, and I'm thinking part of this win rate is not just because the AoE disarm, but is really because it's one of those ships you don't see often, but when you see it, it's usually flown by someone that has a good idea of what they're doing.
Yeah, someone who's got a firm grasp of the ship in general. Yeah.
That's definitely looking at something there. The Watchman, I was actually surprised on how low of a rate there, but if you then turn and look at its counterpart, the Guardian, you really notice a difference. So it's, again, probably going back to the mobility versus the stability. Being back at a point, doing a lot of damage with the range versus being up and actually capping. Again, I would love to see the correlation of this, where you're actually bringing in how many games were played and what is the definition of bracket 4, bracket 3, and all that here.
Yeah, definitely.
The last thing I'd like to kind of end out on is looking at something like the Protector. I really would like to see, like, the Protector maybe get some sort of love, because if you look at that win rate there, it's the lowest win rate of any of the healers. It's your dedicated healer. It's not like the super lifter, which can just skirt around and move around really, really fast and next to impossible to hit, or the disruptor. If you don't hard counter a disruptor with ship with fighters or flak, you're kind of going to actually have a little bit of a problem.
I think we're going to see an interesting development in the next balancing patch, because we all know that either bracket 2 or bracket 3 is the one that balancing is focused around. So there's going to be some movement there.
I really hope it's not bracket 2, because some of these ships that are actually performing really well on the one end, you're seeing them not perform as well on the other end.
Yes, very true. But that's
like
probably phase 2.5 then.
Okay, moving on. We're going to be talking just very briefly on the contest. So remember those drop pods that we were getting in December and the drawing that we had a little while back? Well, guess what? It's being redrawn, so...
There was a winner, and now there's not.
Cross your fingers, hope you win. I mean...
It might still be you.
Whatever it takes. Let's see who wins a trip to England. So just giving you guys a heads up, the contest is not over.
It's not over. Yes, as we're shooting this evening, most likely we're gonna have to redraw.
This morning.
This morning. It's morning for you. It's English time, man. Come on, it's evening. Stop you with your time zones. Today we're gonna have to redraw, and we'll edit in who won it. If it's you, congrats. If it's not, oh man, that sucks. But there's other things as well. Sadly, there's other things as well. I've been noticing, Dace, that the percentage of positive Steam reviews for Trek to Space has been steadily dropping since the release of Phase 2 by over 10% now. These are the recent ones. The overall rating is still looking very good, but with the recent ones, we are now at mixed rating.
Well, first of all, take this kind of with a grain of salt, because some of these reviews are from people that, the ones that you should accept are really the ones that are from people that have changed it due to Phase 2. I've seen several people, if you look at the reviews, you can actually see who's on your friends list that have changed it, specifically noting Phase 2 and some of the new mechanics in it. A good example being it's a lot more like the crew pen system and how you get the pens. But the other flip side is you have to take it with a grain of salt. I still see people that are like unskippable tutorial. They've shortened the tutorial to the point where it's really not bad, and you want people to be able to understand how to play the game, at least base knowledge of it. And you still see people with only like point something hours, and they're like, dumb game. So
yeah, true. But this is a thing for every game. Every game has to deal with these kind of things. But the drop of more than 10%, that's a noticeable one. And moving from overall positive to mixed, that's not something we want to see. And yet, it has happened. And that's not just because of weird tutorials that can't be skipped, which have been commented on a gazillion months ago, that are no longer an issue. This is also because of people getting irritated by increased wait times, people DCing during the drafting period, and then everyone has to restart again. There's too many game modes for the available people we have. And I'm fairly sure that a lot of people are moving away from PvP to PvE, because you only need 5 people for that. And it doesn't matter if you are a rank 4 player, you might as well be ranked with a rank 1 or a bracket 1 player. It's easier to get matches in that. It's a lot faster. Wait times are really, really getting people aggravated.
Well, to be fair, the other thing that's really getting people aggravated is if I want to group up with my friends, PvE is pretty much the only option I got, because if I group up with my friends, there's a very high chance nowadays that one person will be split. That's the weird trend I've been seeing. Like if you group up with like 4 people or even 3 people, it's usually you're one person versus 2 people, and then it's down to the pub lottery, hoping that you actually have decent pubs to back it up. Or when I did a couple 4-mans the other day, and I ended up on the soloing the 3 people on comms every game, and of course you know where that ended up.
Yeah, that's so fun.
And what's even worse is if you just duo queue. I mean, I know multiple people who've just duo queued, and every time it split them. I mean,
I'm raising my hand.
As much as I agree with balanced matches, if I duo queue, I really don't want to be just continuously facing off against my friend and it literally the games being won by what was the team comp. Like in several of the situations, it was like, well, my team had a better team comp outright, and their team had more of a just let's have fun team comp.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't like games that are pretty much decided by, oh, Team A has actually good team comp, Team B doesn't. Or Team A has a level 20 player, while Team B has like all like people above level 80s.
It does happen, yeah. It's quite annoying to see that happen. Can we make a radical suggestion here, Dace?
One game mode.
Yes, one game mode. We don't care which one. Well, the logical thing would be to temporarily lock a conquest and just go all frontline, because that's the way the game seems to have been progressing lately with increased speed and blah blah. We already discussed this previously. Frontline, one game mode, maybe two, but please no more than that. We don't have the players for it. We don't want to be teaming up and then getting split up. That's not why we team up.
Well, again, I understand occasionally being split to balance out a game.
Every once in a while, yeah.
I don't want stomps, but again, if it's like every time I queue up with team up with someone, I'm getting split. I don't. It's just not worth grouping up.
It's not.
And if I can't really play with my friends, then I hate to say that's half the reason I like to stick around. Besides being a great game.
Yeah, we want to be playing with our friends. You and I want to be playing PvP. We don't really care about PvE, but we do understand that people are more drawn to PvE lately. But please, just with the number of people we have, one game mode, please.
Yes, and I don't care if my beloved Conquest disappears for a while. Actually, I wouldn't even be offended if there ended up being a hybrid mode, like a one sector with maybe like a Gamma station dominating in the center with like some mines on the exterior, like 4 mines or something, just so you have the ability to, how would you put it, have a little bit more tactical depth to the front line, but have one game mode that's maybe a little bit faster.
As you can see, Daze is already paving the way for 6 game modes.
We don't need 6 game modes.
No, we don't. That's for the future.
And then ranked. I hate to say, when they introduce ranked, that's going to be another game mode on top of everything.
Yeah. Oh, please, let's stop. Let's stop. You did. Let's just move on. You did remark something, or you had an excellent remark about one of the new crew members, if I remember correctly.
Yes, and for this little commentator's minute, I wanted to talk about the pirate crew members specifically, and I want to talk about that giant robot you see in the background. So if you look at this giant robot in the background. Now, if any of you have played League of Legends, look at the newer, not the old art for Blitzcrank, but the new art for Blitzcrank. So all the new stuff that they use for him. If you look at that, the head's almost identical, the long arms, even to something on the back. Like if you notice in the back of the one picture, it looks like there's some glowy thing back there. And instead, Blitzcrank, you have Steam. It looks heavily influenced by Blitzcrank, almost too much for my tastes.
Yeah, it took me a while, but the more I look at it, the more I see the comparison. This could, however, be easily fixed by putting a robot parrot with one eye on its shoulder.
I mean, I just wanted to mention this because I used to play League of Legends religiously for about 5 years, and
I understand.
This is just, to me, it's just way too close for comfort. But either way, pirate crew members, I love having them on my crew. I love hearing the things they have to say. Again, I actually am now understanding why you have a separate crew wheel forum pods, because last time I complained about that. It makes sense now, so that way you're guaranteed to get pirate crew members. But again, going down to the downside, when I opened up a set of pods for pirate crew members, I got 5 of the same crew member in a row.
It's funny because it's true.
Please, guys, please, ECG, please get rid of the crew system behind drop pods. Please just move them into, I buy them outright. You get DNA through drop pods, and you convert credits to DNA.
Yes.
Fix the legendary crew members by, instead of having you earn them through drops, having you level up your crew. The more you use your crew, the more you level it up, and then you get those Omni slots. There you go. Everyone can get Omni slots.
Phase 2.5, man. We need it. We want it. We needs to has it. Dace, it's been a, although not a very eventful week, we did manage to find a couple of gems in here. Or, well, maybe not so shiny. But I would like to thank you for joining me again on this week's of Gamma Brawl. Thank you, Dace.
Definitely. And EeZeE, it's nice to have you as co-host as always.
It's been a pleasure, you know it. And guys, we will all see you next time. And please, for the love of God, stop stacking.